This is another permaculture video game development update, and what I'm showing here is just my successful merging of two different code bases. One was the original game board environment it's a high view, and then this is the zooming into an actual encounter. All right, what I'm going to show here in the code is actually the logic that I have mentioned before, which is using a div to contain all of the different graphical elements that I'm going to swap out in order to hide one layer after the next, or one level after the next. So when I get to the end of a level or I go into a different environment, then it just swaps out in one line of code by block from display block to display none, which I'm going to show in a minute. But this is the concept of a block of divs given an ID and class name that can be referenced later. So from here, I'm going to go down to where I'm referencing this. And now this is the part of the page where there is a area that when you drive to it in the game and you click on it, now it does this magic trick of right here, body style, background image, URL equals, etc., parking lot. So basically what that does is that swaps out the existing background. And then, as I mentioned above, what we were looking at was that div containing a number of other divs that was identified as the high view, and that was the high view of the world in the game, like Legend of Zelda number 2, Link's Adventure, where you start out and you have a high view over the world, and then you bump into something, and then a function occurs, or function happens. And so here in this code of JavaScript, what's happening is that world is displaced and swapped out just by using this line of code that grabs that div and has it display none, display equals none. And then immediately afterwards, it takes the level that is called get to the permit office environment, and it gives it a display equals block. And that conversely, there's a whole block or a whole div of divs within the div that now appears and you go through that level, and things occur to where eventually when you get to the end of it, you swap to another environment, or eventually you get bounced back to the restoration of the high view or the world from above environment. But that was basically the combination of the events that occur, the conditions that happen that swap the level out, and then the mechanics of how I worked around the issue of how to actually swap the entire existing level out or environment out in a simple fashion. And that was just to group a bunch of divs